fact, I think they may be doing something. Shamsuddin, you may know. Are they kind of doing something now or just after us? She and Thompson online for the Rohaniyat. I don't know.
Who? Shabda is.
Zuleika. Is Zuleika doing something today or is that in a future one? I thought she was going to be doing some dance.
Yeah, I think she may be on for today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see
So,
if I can get to a master menu here.
yeah, if you can kind of make sure that Gemma and I are your co-hosts now, that would be good. So we can all be watchful.
Would that be? I can't remember where. Here we go. Lock me, enable waiting room, hide profile, unmute.
Scott, how are you doing? You're wandering around there. You doing okay? I only see your hand on your tummy. I don't see your face, sweetheart. There you go.
All right, let's see here. More. Nope. I'll get it.
Shems, when I'm hosting, it's upper right corner of the picture of the individual, the three dots. You can
Oh,
click
right. Okay.
co-host.
Let's see. That sounds right. So if I go to gallery view, oh, I don't have it. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Make co-host. Okay, Nuria, you are a co-host, and Jamal, you are a co-host. And Gemma, do you want to take responsibility for starting the recording whenever Nuria wants it to start? Or Nuria,
We're already recording, I think.
what's that?
I think we're already recording, but if yeah, Gemma, go ahead and
Oh
push.
yeah, we are recording. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I always edit this part out, but I love the meet and greet part too. So
Now, do you want me? What was it? You wish that people coming in were muted?
yeah, and they may be. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And we need to just remind people also when you're not speaking, please mute your microphone because
Right.
there can be interference. Thompson, maybe, yeah, thank you.
Enabling.
Hi, Hakima. Are we going to get you? We love the photo, by the way. Are we going to get to see you live? There she is.
All right.
How do you like Florida?
Love it. Love it. It's the most,
especially now.
it's especially now. And we've really been praying for all of our friends and family. I've been in communication with my sister who's still in Kansas City and lots of friends on Facebook and my neighbors via text group. It's like, because Joe and I, when we lived in Kansas City, I mean, we wanted to be sure that we always had lights and heat, especially when mother was alive, and because my sister was there, we wanted to provide a haven. So I told my neighbors, I said, I bet you if you show up with a bottle of wine in your sleeping bag, the new people will let you go in and have a piece of the floor because we have a generator that did the whole house, It was an investment, but we really wanted to make sure everybody was protected that way. Hi, Amina and Paran. So Solette, we have friends from all around the country, but also we have Amina, who you see in the lower corner. They kind of have a golden background. They're living in Italy, northern Italy, a beautiful, beautiful home and beautiful garden, which is maybe asleep right now. Am I right? And cats that are fantastic and a beautiful meditation room. So I feel so blessed that they're part of her circle. And Sophia, I don't know if you see her with a YA at the end. She's in the Netherlands, and she's been Amina holds a group there of Sufis, and she's so dedicated to translating things into Italian and holding different concentrations. So this is such a beautiful service she gives. And Sophia has also been involved in Dutch translations, and she helps with all of our media stuff. And she also has a child that she watches over for a family whose beautiful little boy, his name's Amir. So I've been getting to know Amir through her. So that's been a lot of fun. So, and everybody else is from different parts of the country. No, except for Kareem. How are you doing in your family there? Kareem, can you hear me? There
We're
you
all doing good. Here in Nigeria, we're doing good and fine. We're all doing good in Nigeria, yeah? My family is doing very well. I'm okay. Thank you.
Nuria, would you like some soft background music by Who Dosed? You're muted.
if you can do that if it's not distorted for us, that'd be wonderful. And then you'll teach me how to do that, Shams.
Is anybody talking? I don't hear anything from anybody.
We can hear you.
I know I'm unmuted. Oh, I heard. Okay.
Are you hearing music?
Yes, only music. I just wanted to make sure nobody was talking and it was just music.
Shams,
Yes. You want it to fade? You want fade out?
I'd like to really see you in my gallery. If you agree with that. There we go. I think the fellowship in the brotherhood, sisterhood's wonderful to be able to see everyone. Hi, Noor Salima and Wahaba. Hayat, you're there. We don't see you, but that's okay. We know you're there. There's Amir. Hi, Amir. Hello.
Ooh, now he's shy.
Okay. Okay, I understand. I'm shy too sometimes.
Ah,
Hi.
hi. Hi. Ja. Is dat dan, hè? What?
Hi, Hamza.
Hey.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
Alaikum salam, Hamza.
I see. I see the
Is het pen, hè? Ja, daar.
I think it might be. Catherine, do you have another name?
Yes, Nuria, that's Safira.
Safira, who I've not seen in I thought that was you. Oh my God. You're muted, darling, but I'm so happy to see you.
So happy to see you. I probably will have to leave. I'm doing a meditation group live today at a local church, believe
Wow.
it or not.
Okay.
So I won't be able to stay the whole way.
I'm
That's
glad.
why I'm late getting on. So I'm wearing my pajamas still.
It looks like
Because I'm like that. I didn't miss this.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you,
Oh,
sweet.
me too. I've seen you a few times, and I consider you one of my greatest teachers. Yes.
All each other's, including that
Yeah.
that Hamza's holding there in his photo.
Oh, yes.
Little baby that's there with Safia, the beautiful child. Hi.
Oh,
Is he
Good.
learning English, Safia?
Sorry?
You're learning English also?
No, he is speaking Moroccan, Dutch, and my dialect. Apple. No, I don't speak English to him, not yet.
Good. But
Okay.
he's learning all the different, while he's young. It's
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I will. Eh?
Yeah, why not?
Hey.
It's
Bye-bye.
good to know English is the key to all things in a way. It's the international language. It's good to learn it if you can help.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, sweethearts, we're on noon. Are we ready to get the magic carpet off the off the ground?
You're on the tarmac. Let's take off.
Let's do it and make sure everyone else is muted, please. We'll have, I hope we'll have some chance at the end of the class to talk with each other some more and for question and answers also. And so let us begin, those of us that know the Sufi invocation, and welcome everyone attuned. Jasmine, I see new people coming in. I welcome you and blessings to everyone near and far. Just love to all of you. So we'll begin with the Sufi invocation of Hazrat Inayat Khan. Let me get this changed here. Sorry, just a moment. I have to change this view. I could stay focused. Shems, can you change me to gallery view? No, wait a minute. I want to be on speaker view because I can get distracted by movements. So I can do that. Thank you. So once again, take a deep breath in and out. And in together and out. And one more, in and out. And together we will say the Sufi invocation of Hazrat Inayat Khan. Towards the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the spirit of guidance. And take your palms, put them upwards, and blow the vibration of this prayer into your palms. And take that as a cup of blessing through your entire being. So we've gone past the date of Murshid's, and for those that are new, when I use the word Murshid, it's a teacher of the Indian lineage. His name is Hazrat. Hazrat being an honorific title for someone that's deceased. His name was Anayat Khan, and he was an Indian philosopher, an educator, a professor, and at a certain age, he decided to dedicate his life to this message of spiritual liberty, the unity of religious ideals, and the path of inner realization. And so when I say Murshid or Hazrat Anayat Khan, they are one and the same. And Murshid passed, I don't know, what is it now? Gemma, you maybe know, 118, 119 years ago. And we always acknowledge that passing date, and that was on February 5th. And as I was reflecting on the great vastness of teachings that Anayat Khan gave us in a very short period of time, I also turned to his biography and autobiography, especially during that time, around his birthday, also his passing day, and the day in which the message was really birthed and came to the West. And there's this wonderful quote in the biography, and it goes like this. Anayat, this is being referred to as Anayat. Anayat always remembered the words of his Murshid, who said, "There are many ties which make people friends in the world, but there is one tie which is the closest of all, and that is the relationship between Murshid or teacher and murid or student, that relationship, which is a friendship which never ends, for it is the path of God and truth, and it is eternal." And so I thought also now, at the very beginning, let's remember Murshid, but also all of our teachers that have inspired us, whether they lived centuries ago, whether they are alive with us now, or whether they have already let go of their bodies. They're still living. And let's tune to them in this breath, in this moment, and invoke them to be here with us during this beautiful time together. So take a moment. I'll share with you a practice that I've done for many years, even before I came to move at this beach, and maybe that's why I'm here. At night, some of you that know me very well know I have always had trouble sleeping, even as a child. So there's all kinds of tricks that you do, and some people count sheep. I count teachers. So I've always imagined in a line of succession my various teachers walking and making footprints and following in each other's footprints in the sand. And I'm at the very end of the line following in their footsteps. That is the thing that helps me sometimes fall into a deep and blessed sleep. So, and now some of you are in the snow, so you may imagine your teachers walking through the snow being your Sherpas, and then you're following in their footsteps. But it's a lovely practice, and I share it with you. It may be of benefit, it may not, but it's been useful to me, and I love it. And I remind myself of my teachers as I recite their names as I'm taking my last breaths into sleep. So today we want to talk about the infinite and the finite. And there's this quote from Anayat Khan's teachings. The quote is from the Gayan. "Time and space are but the length and breadth of the infinite. The length and the breadth of the infinite." So in some senses, time and space, we define in finite terms, but they're really infinite. It's a convention of convenience, let's say, to refer to time and space in the way that we do. And then I've drawn upon this body of teachings, which I've edited, but you know I always provide the link to the whole text, that's called What is Wanted in Life? And I thought that this teaching relates very beautifully to this concept of the finite and the infinite. And it also is very good advice for life, because certainly we're all dealing every day. Life is that way. We have challenges, but do we see the bigger picture? And Murshid's giving us some instructions of how to maybe look at things in a bigger, broader way. So this is the question that Murshid asked, Anayat Khan asked. What is wanted in life? So he's giving this as a lecture. He's looking out at people and he's asking this question, and I'm asking all of you, what is wanted in your life? What is it? And Murshid says, if this question were asked of several people, each would perhaps make a list of not less than 1,000 things that one wants. You know, the old genie in the bottle, I grant you 3 wishes. Well, the first wish should be 3 more wishes, but at any rate. So what do we want in life? What is it that we want? You know, being very clear about it can help it come into actualization. That's kind of a clue, but it's not in this paper, but I'll tell you it's so. Then he says, after writing 1,000 things that one wants, one rarely knows what one really wants. So even after making this exhaustive list, we may say, wait a minute, there's one more thing. Oh, I forgot to list this. Oh, well, maybe I should have listed that. He says, what one apparently wants in life is not really what one wants in life, because the nature of the outer life is an illusion. The nature of the outer life is an illusion. All you have to do is watch the news. All you have to do is watch the weather. All you have to do is watch your own body over the years. It's all an illusion. It's all changing and it's all passing and it's all impermanent. So think about it. Whatever those wishes and those I would say not just wishes or desires, are aspirations. What are our aspirations? Those are real and those will inform the soul. This is my commentary on this. So Murshid goes on to say, as soon as one feels, I want this in life, then the world of illusion answers, yes, you want me in life. This is the particular thing you want in life. When a person finds a lack in life, they also find a lack in the outer. They do not find the lack, they do not find the lack which is within themselves. So Murshid's pointing, don't be looking there for your inspiration, for your happiness, for your fulfillment. You look within. You look within. Knowing that once we go through the various surfaces of notions of self, the ego, the outer expressions of who we think we are, there's something much deeper. There's a core that is infinite and it's eternal. And that is really, I think, in some ways, what Sufism gives to us is it's giving us that indication. And it's not unlike when Jesus pointed here, and here. I'm gonna have to go up a little bit. You know, it's like you look up there, that what's in there, what's from above is here within. So we have to look within. And sometimes if one can do that and use the current of the breath, that's the real magic carpet ride, is going within and finding that inner core that's beyond all names and forms, beyond all fears and judgments, something eternal. That's the thing we've come with, and that's the thing that we will leave with. And the in-betweens are very important because they're like these beautiful gems or jewels that are, I would call them ornaments to the soul. And those we can take with us, and perhaps, God willing, if we pass other souls on their return, we can offer those jewels to them. So think about it. It's a beautiful thing to think about, that the outer world isn't the thing that's going to fulfill us. It's the inner world. Now, Murshid goes on to say, coming to the central theme, I would say that if there's anything that we can all be in accord with, it is this, or it is that, is what the paper says. What we lack in life is to be tuned to the infinite. What we lack in life is to be tuned to the infinite. We could replace infinite with the word God, divine, presence, intelligence, wisdom. You can replace that word infinite, but what we lack in life is to be tuned to the infinite and to be in rhythm with the finite. Okay, now we can close the Zoom window because that's the whole teaching right there. We lack the ability to tune to the infinite and to be in rhythm with the finite. So what we see, what's tangible around us, what's going on around us, what's going on in the news, what's going on in COVID, those are the things that we find ourselves out of rhythm with, or they may make us feel out of rhythm. So what was the term in the 60s and 70s, go with the flow? It's not exactly like that, but it's tuning in a way. It's tuning ourselves, tuning our instrument. In simple words, to be in rhythm with the conditions of life and to be in tune with the source of our existence. So Rabia Basra would have many years ago said, eating the bread of this world and doing the work of that world. It's like that. We're tuned in both ways. We think that if these conditions change into something that we wish, it would make life easier. We think that if the conditions would change into something that we want, it would make life easier. Have any of you lived long enough to realize that sometimes what we want and we get it is exactly what we don't need? Anyone else? Anyone else experience that? Okay, so we have to be mindful. Sometimes we're getting exactly what we want and what we need at the same time. We just don't know it's what we want. But there is a divine intelligence working. And when you live long enough, that's the beauty of a long life. You start to get that perspective. You start to get a little more patient. And then I'll go back one sentence. We think that if the conditions change into something that we wish, it would make life easier. But that is an inexperienced expectation. That is an inexperienced expectation. If we were placed in the same situation that we just now desired as best, we would not say we are quite satisfied. We would find lacks in that condition also. It's as if nothing is perfect, and it's perfect in its imperfection. It's like an oxymoron or a koan, but it's true. And you remember, some of you remember a few months ago, I sent around that paper, Thank You, God, for Everything. It was the story of the little bird that was practically dying, and it was in such despair and it was suffering so much, and it had asked this beautiful dove that was going to visit God, will you please ask God when my suffering will end? And the bird, the divine presence told the dove, it's going to suffer for a long time. But the dove didn't want to break the little bird's heart by telling him that. So he said, your suffering will end soon. The little bird believed that. And also the message was, be thankful for everything. So even your suffering, because it's teaching you something. So the next time the dove passed by on his way to heaven, he saw that this little bird was doing quite well. This little bird had feathers. It was living under a tree. that had been in the desert before. There was water. There was beautiful fruits coming from the tree. And the dove said, well, what happened? And he said, well, I remembered just to be thankful for everything. So when my little feet were burning, I said, thank you, God, for everything. And when I didn't have food, I said, thank you, God, for everything. And when I had pain, I said, thank you, God, for everything. And then all these blessings came from it. I mean, how extraordinary. So when something is not so good, maybe just say thank you, God, and not in a naive way, but in a way that in there too is a blessing. And I was speaking with someone the other day about the nature of suffering. Oh yeah, I have really interesting conversations. But I said, you know, the nature of suffering is such that it is the thing that gets us to our next steps. It is not, you know, unicorns and rainbows that get us to our next step, because if unicorns and rainbows are all around us, we're not asking for God's help and we're not thinking a lot about God. But when we're taken down a few notches for our health or loss of work or, you know, just all the many challenges. And, you know, if you're here on Zoom, we're all doing pretty well compared to a lot of people in the world. We have to admit that. So right there and then we have to be thankful. We have a computer, we have electricity, and we have each other. Let's be grateful. Thank you, God. But remember there is a blessing in all things. And now I've had it said enough. I'm going to go back to Murshid's words because he's about to tell us that. So Murshid says, with all errors and mistakes and lacks, which we find in our external life, we see a perfect hand working behind it all. A perfect hand working behind it all. If we look at life a little further than we look at it generally, we would certainly find that all the lacks and errors and mistakes and faults sum up to something, making life as complete as the wise hands which are working behind to wish it to be. So, you know, again, the Ibn Arabi quote, you all probably know it. If we unmuted, we could all say it together. Seek to know that which transpires behind that which appears. Seek to know that which transpires behind that which appears. The big picture, the hidden blessing, the inner teaching. What is it? Okay. A little bit more, and then I'd like for us to do a practice together. And I think we've never done this practice together. I hope that it'll be emphasize this teaching and it'll be something you can carry with you. There's a quote that Murshid gives us here, and he says it's a Persian saying, and it highlights or maybe encapsulates what we've been talking about here. It says, the gardener of this garden of the world knows best which plant to rear and which plant to remove. And you know, in nature, it's that way. The antidote to every poison is very nearby. A quick story to tell about that. I was in India, you know, I've spent quite a bit of time there, and I was walking along a wall. I mean, there, you know, insurance, forget about it. I mean, there's these narrow walls on a sheer cliff, and if you don't have any way to get to there, you walk that narrow wall. And I was with a friend, and that person had kind of slipped, and there were sort of tall something, we didn't know what it was, growing near. And when that person's leg slipped, they had a loose pant on, and the leg went down into this greenery. And when the leg came up, it was filled immediately with redness and kind of blisters, like it had been burned. And this young boy ran towards my friend and took her hand and drug her into a kind of alley. I mean, I, of course, followed right away because we had no idea what he was doing. But he had grabbed some other green plant and he asked her to pull her pant leg up. And when she did, he rubbed this other green. He crushed it in his hand and he rubbed it on her leg, and it immediately soothed it. So the one plant was the stinging nettle, which is not like stinging nettle here. It's like almost like a tree. And I think the other one was what they call a plantain. You know, when we're in the Ozarks, it's also the antidote to mosquito bites or poison ivy. It can help soothe that. So always nearby the poison is the cure. And in that way, also, whatever may in our lives be poisoning our life, the cure is nearby. Keep that in mind. Seek that cure. Tune to that cure. Ask for that cure. You may not know what it is. We're not infinitely wise. But sometimes if we surrender, the answer comes and we open the way for something to shift and change. I could go on and on. You don't want me to. The countless things that have happened in my own life in this way. But I believe it because I know it's true. And it's never because I know what the answer is. It's through prayer, through surrender, through being optimistic that perhaps the next turn of the corner, the next person I meet, the next encounter might be the answer or something to change the circumstances. So be open, remain open. God, the divine, whatever name you want to give, that presence works through and in all things. So I'd like to work with these two sacred names. They're in Arabic. And one is Kabir, not Khabir. This is Kabir, K-A-B-I-R. There's a slight, if you speak Arabic at the end, there's a slight Kabir. It's a little bit roll of the tongue, the R. We hear that in Spanish languages as well. Maybe a little bit in Italian, that R at the end. And what does Kabir mean? Kabir is greatness itself. Kabir is the perfection of this greatness. And Kabir is something, it's a quality that is outside of time and space. There's this idea of the infinite and the eternal. It's incomprehensible and incomparable vastness. It's like a boundless ocean, a boundless ocean. And Kabir is the one that donates or indicates the essence of greatness. So there's another word that we're going to, another divine name that will pair with this, but let's do just Kabir together. We'll do it, getting my prayer beads off here, excuse me. We'll do it just 33 times together, and untangled, sorry. The first 11 we'll say with the Ya, the honorific, oh dear, oh precious, divine greatness, Ya Kabir. And then we'll whisper just Kabir, and then we'll silently repeat the name Kabir inside. And what we're doing is invoking that part of our being that can connect with that divine name. And we're asking that divine name in all of its vibrations and meaning to come from the universe and touch something in us. So we're looking for that connection. And it's not something we can do with the mind. It's something we do, or even with the lips. It's in the heart. So just whatever that visualization might be for you, for this vastness, this beautiful vastness, whether it's the sea, whether it's the sky, whether it's just space, whether it's something open in you, go to that place as we repeat, Ya Kabir. And we begin together, keep muted, but say it with me wherever you are. Ya Kabir. 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 Take a breath. You don't need to figure out how to open to the vastness. The vastness will open you. The greatness will open you. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to say, am I doing it right? Is something happening? It is. And now we whisper just the word Kabir, and we breathe in Kabir and out Kabir. In Kabir, out Kabir, 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 Kabir. Now silent breath. And now silently, just breathe in the word Kabir and out Kabir. Ya Kabir. The companion to Kabir in this practice is Muta Kabir. So it's Kabir, but it's also M-U-T-A. And then it's K-A-B-B-R. So there's a little bit of a emphasis on the ta and the Kabir. So there's two little points of accentuation. But what is Muta Kabir? It means supreme greatness. So it's beyond great, it's greater than great, it's beyond the beyond. And it's the perfection of greatness. And again, perfection is a little bit of a touchy word there because everything is perfect as it is. It really is. It's our vision that makes it not appear to be so. But a little few more words about Kabir. It's a continual action of dissolution of boundaries. So when we come up against some sort of limitation or the rock in the road, the pebble in the shoe, the rock, between a rock and a hard place, Muta Kabir can help us get around that because it keeps dissolving the boundaries of our own limitations, the notions of who we are, the limited view of circumstances. It helps to dissolve that. It's divine greatness and it's divine power at every moment and in every incident. It is said that Muta Kabir is an empathic form of the root of KBR, which then, of course, comes Kabir. And it's interesting. How can this quality be empathic? But it is, because it's experiencing the greatness in the finite, dissolving the boundaries so that we can loosen those boundaries a little bit to get an understanding of the wisdom of the infinite. So it's this empathy, an empathetic relationship, and an empathic relationship. So let us now just do Muta Kabir in 11, 11, 11 for 33. Then we'll bring the practices together. And when I send out the study guide for this, I have a link to the voice of a native speaker in Arabic saying these words. So you can hear how it would be said in the native language. Okay. Ya Muta Kabir. Ya Muta Kabir. I'm going to stop right here because I can't help but share this with you. It's every time I've done this practice, it feels like I'm on a trampoline, and it's like Muta Kabir, Muta Kabir. So it's kind of like we're jumping and we're getting, you know, have you ever had jumping dreams or flying dreams or been on a trampoline and you just go high, or on a swing high? It's kind of like that. We're going to these other levels, and the smallness is getting dissolved and we're getting a bigger view. So I don't know if you'll feel that. That's just my personal experience, but I share it with you because maybe you get that sense of that when we hit that Muta Kabir. Okay, we continue. We'll begin again. Ya Muta Kabir. 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 Take a breath. And now we just whisper in and out. Muta Kabir. 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 And breathe. And now we'll just do the practice silently on the breath. And it's kind of like blowing this practice into infinite space, becoming part of infinite space and all of its greatness and vastness, helping us to move beyond limitations and connect with the great oneness. Breathing in and out silently, Muta Kabir. Muta Kabir. Now let's put them together and we see how we feel with those. So Kabir being great, this quality of greatness, but Muta Kabir is like super greatness, so beyond greatness. Those of you that know I keep hearing internally the Gate Gate Par Samgate Bodhi Swaha, that beyond the beyond. It's beyond, it's greatness and beyond. And we're reaching out and in simultaneously to connect that part of ourselves that is eternally informed by that greatness with the greatness of that vibration throughout the whole universe, throughout all time and space, throughout all understanding and wisdom, connecting those in the heart of each of us. So now 11 times, Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. Take a breath in, a breath out, and we begin. And those that are new here, why do we say things in Arabic or in Latin or in Sanskrit? Think about it. Also, sometimes in Aramaic. Some of us study Aramaic. When I was a little girl, and you all have heard this story, most of you have, you know, the nuns used to tell me to tune to the breath and realize that as I'm breathing in the molecules that Jesus breathed in. Or we could say Buddha or Mohammed, Jesus, whatever the beautiful being is that inspires you, and hope perhaps they all do. To tune to those vibrations of all the great composers that ever made beautiful music. It still exists. Those things don't cease. But to think of all the holy beings, and each being is a holy being, and to think of all the beautiful environments, the mosques, the cathedrals, the temples that have received the vibration of these prayers. They go on. If you visited a sacred site, you feel it. You know it's there. You know that place has been prayed. And you feel it. We're tuning to that vibration. We're not using an esoteric language just to use it. We're tuning to the infinite vibration of the prayer that's been said far longer than English. So think of that, okay? As we say, Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. Okay. Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. Ya Kabir, Ya Mutakabir. And if you want to add a slight head movement, Ya Kabir, coming into the heart, lifting, Ya Mutakabir. Ya Kabir, 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 Ya Mutakabir. Breathe in and breathe out. Tuning to the greatness, having full confidence, or even if lack thereof, it's happening. It's happening. The greatness is, and it is in us too. It cannot be otherwise. So now we breathe in, Kabir, and we breathe out. First whispering, in, Kabir, and out, Mutakabir. So, Kabir, Mutakabir, Kabir, Mutakabir, Kabir, Mutakabir, Kabir, Mutakabir, Mutakabir, just take a deep breath in and out. Expansion. Opening to infinite possibilities. infinite goodness, infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite patience and compassion. All that resides in this greatness. And now we breathe in and out. First in silently, Kabir, and out, Muta Kabir. 11 times. Breathe in and out, Muta Kabir. In Kabir and out, Muta Kabir. Ya Kabir, Ya Muta Kabir. Just sit with it. I have just a few more words of Murshid's, and then another practice for us to think about doing together. And then if there's some question and answers, we'll have those. Or if you want to share your experience of the practice, feel free to do that. And then we can chat a little bit at a certain point. I'll tell you I'm closing the window and we'll conclude the class. So now I'm reading again from Murshid's words. He says, there are many imaginative and intelligent people who, day after day, read the newspapers and draw the conclusion that there must be war. Now remember, this was, Murshid was in Russia, actually, when the revolution was about to break out, and he lived through World War I. So, this is that time, but those words couldn't be too much off the mark as of today. It's like we on the brink of something, who knows? And certainly we're at a kind of war. I think we're hopefully winning it with COVID, and I have words about that, but I'll leave those to another time. Then Murshid goes on to say, an icon goes on to say, every little struggle they or we read about gives us or them the idea that the world is going to pieces. Turn the news on, there it is. Murshid says, other people interested in astrology who have gone further than the ordinary astrology expect the end of the world year after year, month after month. We know that there were mystics that were talking about this ages ago and predicting the end of days. He's referring a little bit to that. And so he says, what I mean to say is that the best thing is to go through every condition that life presents with patience, with understanding, with open eyes, and try to rise above it with every little effort one can make. So, someone has made an error in judgment of you, or someone has hurt you in some way, or someone has done something bad to you, or we turn on the news and we judge this political party against that political party, or this opinion against that opinion. The best thing to do when in every condition in life, whatever is presented, meet it with patience, with understanding, open eyes, and to try to rise above it with every little effort that you can make. Every little effort. He goes on to say, now coming to the other side of the subject, how can one tune with the infinite? So he's been talking about all of this is the finite. And he's been indicating, go there. We're going to go towards the infinite. The nature of being in tune with the infinite can be seen by comparing one's soul with the string of an instrument. And I know some of you are musicians. And Murshid was too, very fine one, very many accolades and awards he received. When a person is conscious all the time of the finite, he or she is tuned to the finite. And the one who is conscious of the infinite is tuned to the infinite. Those of you that know some of the teaching traditions of the Native Americans were the teachings of Little Mouse and Eagle. Little Mouse only can see this, only before its nose, little. And the eagle soars and has a big perspective. We actually need both. And knowing the wisdom is to know when to focus and when to expand. Kabir, Yamukta Kabir can help you. And remembering to be thankful for everything. Murshid goes on to say, when you're tuned to the finite, that's where your vision is, that's where your existence is. When you're tuned to the infinite, that's where your existence is. But he goes, being in tune with one makes one limited, weak, hopeless, powerless. So if you're feeling any of those things, remember you've formed these boundaries about a very finite view. Release it. It's not true. It may feel true, and we make it more true, to tell you the truth, by concentrating on that finite view. He says, by being in tune with the other, meaning the infinite, we obtain the power and strength to pull through life under all adverse conditions. Now, this isn't a person that's floating on a cloud. He understood adverse conditions. He went through many himself. If you read his biography or you've read any of the accounts of his brothers that were writing about Murshid's life, it gives you a complete picture of a human being, not someone that's sitting taking a photo. So he understood that, and he's speaking from that point of view. If you've read Jalaluddin Rumi, you know that too. He's always talking about love and pain, but there was a wisdom and a truth that came through that understanding. So embrace it. Don't try to push anything away and don't grasp at anything. Just feel the energy of it. Use the energy like in Tai Chi or the martial arts. You use that energy to propel yourself. Like you use Kabir and Mutta Kabir. Use those practices. They will help you. They will guide you. You don't even have to believe in them. I think something happens just by doing them and trying to shift the thinking. So Murshid, last words. And I will replace the word Sufi here with many things because he says that the work that a Sufi considers, and I would say a human being, a person that's trying to awaken, someone that has great heart, you can replace that word Sufi. The work that a Sufi considers his or her sacred work has nothing to do with any particular creed, nor any particular religion. It is only this simple thing, which I have just said. Here it is. Bing. The ears go up. To be in rhythm with life's conditions and to be in tune with the infinite. To be in rhythm with life's conditions and to be in tune with the infinite. Well, there's much more, much more that I could say, but I think I'm going to keep you waiting for it. And I'm going to add this to my list of things to talk about next time we meet. Now, I'm going to do some PSAs because I want to conclude this section in my edit for your purposes of discretion. If you don't want to be out on the internet, our conversation will remain private with us, and your names and all of that will not be seen. I want to respect your privacy. But I do have these announcements before, let's do our closing prayer actually, and then we'll do the announcements. And then continue if you wish to stay for question and answers. So we'll close with the prayer Katu. O thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly cometh from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand love better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide. Send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect aim. I send my love to each and every one of you forever and ever. Love is the most powerful thing in the world. Don't ever forget it. Let your heart radiate that in all conditions. And now, click. I'm going to turn off the recorder, in fact. It might be the thing to do. I don't know if I can. Anyway, whatever, I will edit. But I do want to give you some personal announcements. Make a footnote. We'll send it out through our e-list. We won't be meeting on the third Saturday next month. I've been asked by the interfaith people at the University of Miami to give a talk, a whole hour talk on Sufism. And so that you'll see listed in our events. The title is Sufism, the Mystical Path of Inner Realization. And so it's good because it's so hard to describe Sufism. And I'm going to try to do that in some ways for people that don't know about Sufism. So I'm learning a way to define things in a language that is maybe not quite so esoteric as we know. And I hope you'll show up because it might be very helpful to you. So we'll send that out. That's on Sunday, March 28th. Again, I just want to make sure that here at the close that we dedicate the merit of anything that's good that's transpired here, that it may benefit all beings, and I do mean all beings. And on Facebook, there is a place if you'd like to make a contribution. And also on Facebook, in that same note, if you go further down or click more, there's a way to go through our website to either send a check or to pay through PayPal. But Facebook, we receive 100% of the money, and it will direct you to PayPal if you have a PayPal account or credit card or whatever. So if you want to give. If not, your presence is a gift as well. I want to tell you that we recently, I always say, as you give, we give it together. We've recently contributed to a project, and I hope you will agree. Our board met and agreed that it would be okay to do so. We've given some money. There's a very special project that's happening that is recognizing the work of Mahatma Gandhi's wife, Kasturba. And Mahatma Gandhi said in some ways she was his teacher, and she taught him about nonviolence. But as we know, often and this is no disrespect to any of the men here, but it is a fact that often the men come to the forefront and the women get forgotten. And so there is this special project to highlight her work and her contributions in the Ahimsa movement, the nonviolent movement. And we thought that, of course, Murshid was from India, and we wanted to contribute some. So I've taken some of our money to do that, to contribute towards that film, which is rounding now. It's getting edited, and there's some funds that are needed to make the project complete. The project will be finding its way publicly. The films done by this person are usually of the quality and are often presented on PBS. So you know that public broadcasting station, you know that it's not a willy-nilly project. It's meaningful and it's an important project by good filmmakers and writers. So I wanted to let you know that we've done that. And I hope that you give your support for that. And you do give your support for that. And I hope you accept that the board decided to go ahead and make that contribution. Now I want to be sure that if there are any questions or there are any comments about the practice, anything that you want to share, I'm going to mute and I'm going to listen.
I can't, you're muted.
So did you hear me though?
No, you were muted and I was gonna, excuse me, I was gonna say something. Thank you. This has been beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm having trouble sleeping too, so I am going to work on that practice. That's just on it. That sounds just beautiful. Can hardly wait for tonight.
Great. Write me and tell me after a week or so, write me and let me know if it's working.
Okay,
I will go right into the sleep. It's pretty,
right.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to share, and what I've been doing is, because I have these questions I ask, and then I think I need the answer right away, but I've been sitting with the questions, because when it comes up, and this kind of is not exactly what you were saying, but you were, like, what do you want in life? I go, I don't know if you remember my personality, but it's like, I don't know. And it's always this. And so, the Kabir, Mukta Kabir will be, I imagine, beautiful for me. So thank you. Thank you so much, Nuria.
I hope so. And maybe you don't want anything. Maybe everything's fulfilled just the way it is. It's okay not to want as well. So
Alhamdulillah.
the question was, maybe everything's fulfilled. There's no need to ask for more. Just be thankful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very, very beautiful. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre. I'm so glad you joined us.
I am too. I absolutely loved it. And I do have a question.
Yes.
Is there a significance to the number 11?
Actually, the practices are done in a sequence of 101, and they can be done in 33, and then we divide that into 11. So 11, 33, and then 101. So it's an abbreviated form, and I think I've said this to this group, but when I first started doing my practices, Murshida made me do them. Murshida Vera made me do them many, many times. And I thought, of course, that's because I was so spiritually advanced. And really, I read that's what you have to do for very hard-headed people. So it knocked me down a few pegs. But 101 is done in this tradition. If we're doing a Buddhist practice, we'll do them 108 because there's 108 sutras. In this tradition, when we are in sort of invoking the Arabic names, the divine names of God, it's coming from the Holy Quran. And in the Quran, there are 99 names that are revealed, different attributes of God, and there are 2 hidden names. So we use that 101 as a special number. And then, if you pray the rosary, of course, you have 10 Hail Marys and 1 Our Father, and that's kind of a completion of a decade. So these numbers, although seem specific to a tradition, they appear again and again. And I may be talking about that next month a little bit, because I want people to understand that when we do the practices. But a really good question. And, counting is good, but it can tether you, but it's also not necessary. What's necessary is in the heart. And one more thing, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he would, whenever we took initiation with him, and living there, I got to take many with him personally, but as a group. And he would say, okay, now in order to complete this initiation, you say this mantra 100,000 times.
Oh my.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And you have a way on your malas to move it like a bead that indicates 100, and then you do another thing that indicates 1,000. It's a kind of complicated counting method. But he'd say, well, but there are 5,000 people here, so let's all say it, 100 times, and that'll be, whatever. Do the math. So by doing it together, we're also increasing the magnetism of the practice. And by thinking of each other when we're doing our daily practice, we increase it. And by making a commitment to do it, even if it's 11 times, it'd be good to do it 101. But if you only do it 11 times, it's okay. Did that answer your question, Andre?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here.
I can't believe I've missed this all this time that you.
I think you're on our mail list, right?
Oh yes, yes.
So, no, you'll just have to click the link in the future.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you allowed me to join in.
I'm so happy you're here. It's for everybody. This kind of knowledge and wisdom isn't to be kept secret. There might be some people that think it should be, but
Well, you're an absolutely wonderful teacher. I just have to say, I'm sure everyone feels that way, but you are definitely gifted. You have a gift. So thank you so much.
Well, I was talking to someone else today or yesterday, or I talked to a lot of people on the phone, and I was like, I would pretty much say that this is, me and my personality around the neighborhood and my, night dress and the dog. There's something that if one becomes receptive, something can come through. I'm grateful you feel that way. I'm grateful you've gained something, but I can't take all the credit. The mistakes are mine, but anything that's, I will say the goodness is the blessings of my teachers and the blessing of the teaching, and maybe a little bit me trying to open the door to be a little empty to let it come through. So I don't necessarily take credit. I think we have to be a conduit in some ways. And if I'm effective in that way, then I'm very happy. Thank you. Anyone else? Not compliments about the practice, or did you get that sense of the mutakabir, like the little, and then what I saw when we were doing it together, I have to tell you, you may laugh, but it's kind of a fantastic visualization. It's like the high dive of the Olympic divers, and we were all like bouncing, and then doing these perfect dives. It was like, so I felt the unison of that, and it was just like we were bouncing higher and higher, and then we made our descent quite perfectly. So. Anyone else want to share anything? Any questions?
I'd like to.
Yes, Scott.
Well, it's about time for the season of Lent to begin.
It is.
Or it has begun.
It has begun.
And I'm a little bit of a pagan.
Is that yours thing, or
it might be. Let me take my headphones off.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm hearing you.
Oh, I know what it was. I'm used to being able to key my voice, and I was pushing down my space.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Good.
We all need a little space once in a while.
That's right.
And yeah, well, I'm kind of a what can I say? I'll just say I'm a pagan at heart. So sometimes I find it a little difficult to tune into the complexities of orthodoxy. I think that's what I'd say is I'm not so much a pagan as I'm heterodox and perhaps on my own path, right? Kind of like the shamanic type of perspective. But but things interest me, and why people pay attention to them and make it a practice and devote their inner growth to it. And so Lent this year is something I'm trying to observe. And I kind of came in with the idea that I would maybe ask you something about Lent. And because sometimes I don't have a clue on that, It's like one of my old jokes was that, well, if I live a good enough life, and maybe next time I'll be reincarnated as a Unitarian, having grown up a Presbyterian. Right? So, but I did kind of get an answer because, and that's what made me think of paganism, and that's that, an attunement to part of a cosmic and planetary cycle that goes on. And I just wondered how you look at that kind of perspective on Lent.
I think, let me just say this. I think the purpose of Lent, in my view, is that it makes us very attentive. And, I grew up Catholic, so Lent was certainly a big part of our life, and the practice of Lent, Fridays, sort of being a more austere time, and even regarding food, I'm that old that, we practice that. But it also connected to my practice as a Sufi, because when I first took initiation, Rashida Vera asked me to fast one day, no food, just liquid. I could have a little juice just for blood sugar, but otherwise nothing, and at least 24 hours. And that connected to my studies in Native American tradition. So they were all connected. And the point is while we're giving up something, when we miss it, it reminds us to pray. That to me is part of it. And also, if you've tuned to the life of Jesus, and Scotland, I think you have, and I know you've endured things in your life, then we're tuning to that kind of cosmic suffering, which isn't just the nature of suffering, but the nature of resurrection. What is beyond that suffering? What do we learn from it? It's that fauna and baka, it's that surrender and that resurrection, really. And so I think there are many, many levels to it. And I think that nature is also going through those cycles with us. So Gemma was preparing them, just as an aside, she was preparing the Unity of Religious Ideals mailing. And she said, my goodness, there are so many special days in the month of March. And I think they coincide with the equinox and the solstices. We see that, these rituals and these birth mythologies, they coincide with the seasons. So I think tuning to nature is probably the greatest, and Murshid says that, the great holy manuscript is nature, and you're living there in it, very close to it and within it. And so I don't think we have to call it anything, and I don't think we have to have rituals. I think I can tell you myself living here, and we have neighbors here that say, you spend a lot of time on your balcony, but that's where I really want to be, or on the beach, or out walking the dog, and just being in tune with the rhythms of nature and the nature of impermanence too. Because I did grow up in the Midwest, and of course I've lived in the desert, but you get the sense of things are more permanent, but they're so, they're just ever changing, and we are too, but you don't necessarily get the sense of that. I mean, maybe you do on a farm, or if you're a gardener or something, but I just remember long periods of time of feeling like nothing was really happening, but it was because I was not in nature as much as I am right now. And I'm rambling, but I hope that helps to answer or to at least connect with your question in some way.
Well, I was looking for just a perspective of someone else on it. And, I think you opened up quite a number of perspectives on that. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Scott, I have another perspective on it, and I hope it's not sacrilegious, but last year at Lent, when I was attending my Episcopal church, they asked me, "What are you giving up for Lent?" And I said, "I'm giving up," by which I meant I want my Lent to be surrender through every season, every breath, like that. I don't know if that helps, but that's my perspective on it now. Is I'm glad for Lent because it reminds me of this surrender, and that's kind of what I'm focused toward.
Thank you, Sean.
This is a bit of an aside, but apparently I was lucky enough to incarnate as a Unitarian. Okay, that's all.
I was going to just say something about Lent too, which is if you are farming, what the leftovers of the harvest are getting pretty thin by March. So, it's kind of when you're thinking about it, tuning it to the natural world, usually it's a good time to be fasting because there isn't a whole lot of extra stuff stored up. And so that emptiness allows then for that filling of, the new planting, the new spring, the new food, as it comes. So.
And I don't know that everyone knows, nor Latifa, that your husband's a farmer. Mostly melons, but are there other things? Squash.
Yeah, we've started doing more of a CSA, so he always does all kinds of things, but he's doing more of all of them now. So yeah. And we're getting pretty thin on our potatoes right now. We had a lot of potatoes, but they're almost gone now. So it's almost Lent.
I think that's a significant perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Well, I think we'll close our window for today, and reminder, the next class will be that interfaith class on Sufism, the inner path, and it'll be on a Sunday at 1, I think, so not too late, I don't think, for our European friends. It'll probably be on daylight savings time then, but anyway, we'll get it all straight and let you know. Sending you all lots and lots of love. I'm just a phone call or an email away. Love you all. God bless.